So there's a medicinal plant out there that really wants to get your attention. Let's talk about it. So isn't it amazing when you're out walking around in nature, out in the forest or walking along the river, and you see the beautiful, majestic trees and the delicate, intricate loveliness of the little flowers and the verdant green of the leaves and the, holy cow, ouch, what was that? And all of a sudden, you feel this terrible shooting, burning pain in your leg, and you look down and you've been stung by stinging nettle, right? I'm Dr. Patrick Jones from the Homegrown Herbal School of Botanical Medicine, and I want to talk a little bit about stinging nettle today. Stinging nettle is a really, really fantastic medicinal plant. It's really common, grows just almost everywhere. Here's a map we've got showing all the places in North America where it grows, and you'll notice there's a couple of white states and provinces up in Canada here, and those people are just in denial. Yeah, they either haven't noticed or they're too embarrassed to confess that they also have thriving stinging nettle populations. And just about every other temperate place on the planet also has stinging nettle distribution that looks just like this. So many places to go, so many people to sting. It's a very extroverted, people-friendly kind of plant, wants to be with everybody. It looks sort of like a mint. It has sort of squarish stems like mint family plants have, but not quite as square. The leaves come off, at 90-degree angles. You got opposite leaves coming, two north and south, and then two east and west, and two north and south, which is also very minty. But the easy way to tell that it's not a mint is that it stings. And the stinging is pretty intense. It actually has little hypodermic needles all over the surface of the plant, on the stems, on the leaves. And these little needles, when they poke into you, inject formic acid and some other chemistry that is really very irritating and very burning. In fact, the name Urtica, this genus, means burning or stinging. And so it's a pretty unpleasant experience. But that said, interestingly, that stinging experience is also a medicinal action. Yeah, that's right. Stinging nettle stinging you is actually a medicinal action. And if you notice as you're walking in the woods and the rotten stuff stings your knee, after a few minutes, your knee stops hurting. And I don't mean from the sting, I mean from the sore knee you had when you started your hike. If you have arthritis or joint pain, inflammation, those kinds of things, the sting of stinging nettle is actually a therapeutic for those issues. And for thousands of years, people have been intentionally stinging themselves to relieve the pain of arthritis and joint inflammation. It's called urtication therapy, right? From Urtica, which is the genus of stinging nettle. And so, they sting themselves, and then that formic acid has some histamine modulating functions. It has some anti-inflammatory functions. It also mostly has some significant impact on neurotransmitters that are involved in the transmission of pain. So things like serotonin and substance P, chemicals like that your finger gives the message to tell your brain that this bad thing happened. Those chemicals are very intimately involved in those nerve conduction functions. And if you turn those off, or you get in the way or interfere with them, then you don't hurt, right? And it's not just like for a minute that your achy joints don't hurt. It's for days and days after that sting, And so it's been an intentional thing for a long time for people that have joint pain and arthritis. The leaf is also really medicinal internally. You don't have to sting yourself. That's the good news. The leaf is fantastic medicine, and it does all kinds of things. It's a good diuretic. It's got some mild antibiotic properties, so it's very good for bladder infections, urinary tract infections. It's good for ulcers. Again, some of that's due to the antibiotic, but some of the other constituents that it has also help that ulcer to heal and help to interfere with the bacterial infection that it's causing the ulcer, the Helicobacter pylori. So it's good for ulcers. It's an anti-inflammatory generally, so it's good for arthritis and inflammation generally internally. And let's see, what else is it good for? Oh, it's a fantastic antihistamine. So really good for allergy symptoms. It decreases histamine production. It interferes with histamine release from the mast cells. And it, as if that wasn't enough, it also inhibits the cells that would like to uptake the histamine and be offended by it from uptaking the histamine and being offended by it. And so basically you quit sneezing. You quit having that allergic reaction. And so it's very good. If somebody has allergies, seasonal allergies especially, it's just silly not to be taking a cup of Nettles twice a day. That's just silly. In a cup of tea, I mean. What else is it good for? It's good for psoriasis. It's good for eczema. It's good for a dozen other things. Really a phenomenal plant. And the leaf's not the only thing that's good for stuff. The seed is also good. And the seed comes off in these little bunches off of the stem where the leaves attach. And the seed is a very good plant for distressed kidneys, for weakened, damaged, low-functioning kidneys that are having a hard time. Nettle seed is a remarkable medicine for that. I've had a lot of cases in the veterinary practice, and some cases in the naturopath practice too, where I saw nettle seed make a significant difference in the blood values of BUN and creatinine in animals that were having a hard time processing and eliminating those things. And so I don't know that it restores and cures a kidney that's really damaged, but it certainly helps that kidney do what it can do with what it has better, and in the early cases of stress, in the early stages of stress and disease and problems, certainly nettle is going to be beneficial for helping that kidney get through that experience. The root's also medicinal, right? So the leaf was good, seeds are good. Well, guess what? The root's good too. The root is mostly used for prostate enlargement, benign prostatic hyperplasia. So non-cancerous swelling of the prostate. And it's quite good for that. But I'll tell you, even if you don't have any of those problems, you're out of your mind if you're not taking nettles every day. It's a phenomenal nutritive. It's a tremendous source of vitamins and minerals and nutrients that are really hard to get in regular food. They call it food, the stuff they're selling us. It's not really food anymore. But nettles is still food, okay? And, just as an overall health tonic and nutrition source, putting a teaspoon of nettles in your morning smoothie, and if you do that a couple of times a day, that is so good for you. My wife is a midwife, and one of her standard things to do was she was having the ladies that were expecting taking nettles, because it's really good for them. It's really nutritious, safe during pregnancy. I've had all kinds of people that I recommend, just what I just recommended to you, take some nettles. And I get all kinds of reports of how much better they feel generally about everything. Fewer allergy symptoms, less inflammation, less tiredness, more energy. And a lot of that is from medicinal properties, but a lot of it's just the nutrition. You take a plant as complicated as nettles, and it really is, like many herbs, like most herbs, it really is just a buffet for your body to choose what it wants today. Oh, that looks good. I'll have something. Oh, I want some of that today, right? And it gives the body this beautiful palette of resources that it can use for whatever's going on with it. So what's the dose? Well, the dose of nettles, the powder, the dry powder, and how do you make the powder? You just chop down the nettles and dry it, just air dry it, throw it on a shelf. And when it's dry, throw it in your blender and grind it into a powder. So the dose of nettles for an adult of that powder is going to be like a rounded teaspoon or so. And if you did that twice a day for maintenance and nutritive stuff, that's fantastic. If you're fighting something active, if you've got some allergy stuff and you really want to get a handle on it, or if you got some inflammation, you really want to get a handle on it, do it 3 times a day. That's great. But really a phenomenal tonic, really a phenomenal nutritive, really a phenomenal medicine. And honestly, we're just scratching the surface. I mean, it does so many other things. We just did a new lesson on Nettle's, a new monograph for the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. And we talk about all kinds of other things that it does in a lot of detail of how it works and why it works and how to use it, when to use it, what to use it for, what to use it with. Sometimes it combines well with other things. And it's just a really wonderful, exciting topic, this plant and all the amazing things it can do. If you're interested in learning more about herbs, we'd sure encourage you to have a look at the Homegrown Herbalist School. You can learn more about it at homegrownherbalist.com. And I'm Dr. Patrick Jones. I really appreciate you listening. If you haven't subscribed already, we'd sure appreciate it if you did. There's a little button down there. Somewhere is a little button. And of course, there's like buttons and there's share buttons. If you know someone who's a human and has a body, they would really benefit from this video. So if you know anybody like that, send this video to them, and then they can put some nettles in their smoothie and feel better. So until next time, I'm Dr. Patrick Jones. Thanks for listening.